Well, history is being made in U.S. politics tonight. Delegates in Philadelphia are voting to nominate Hillary Clinton as the Democrats' candidate for President of the United States. Clinton becomes the first woman ever nominated for the country's highest office. Well, on Monday night, some of the biggest names of the party, they spoke before delegates in an effort to create party unity. Now, we heard some stirring endorsements. Let's go through some of them here. Senator Elizabeth Warren, she is known as the agitating insider. Now, she was really the only one of the main speakers on Monday night to attack Donald Trump, and she did not hold back, calling Trump a fraud who uses race to divide the country. Now, Bernie Sanders, he received a standing ovation when he took to the stage. Now, there were worries that this could be a Ted Cruz repeat. You may remember that last week, Cruz spoke at the Republican convention and he refused to endorse Donald Trump. Not the case. Last night, Sanders delivered an impassioned call to electoral arms for Hillary Clinton. And the woman who owned the stage and the evening, the First Lady, Michelle Obama. She became obviously moved when she thanked Hillary Clinton for helping to create a world in which her little girls, not so little anymore, take it for granted that a woman can win the White House. Hillary Clinton's victory in November, it would be a historic moment in the U.S., and we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm happy to welcome back here at the big table Irwin Collier. Irwin, it's good to have you with the JFK Institute here in Berlin. And joining us from the convention in Philadelphia is our correspondent, Ines Pohl. She is part of our team coverage of the Democratic National Convention. We're going to slide that camera over and you'll be able to see her as well. Ines is there. There she is. All right. Ines, good evening, or good afternoon, I should say, to you. I'd like you both to listen to what Donald Trump said recently about playing the woman card. Take a listen.
Hillary Clinton talks about women, and she talks about how she's going to do. She plays the woman card more than any human being I've ever seen in my life. And frankly, I don't even think women like her from everything I see.
All right, Ines, let me start with you. There's been so much talk about Clinton's emails, the rivalry with Bernie Sanders, and of course, not to mention Donald Trump and what he says. It almost feels like the country has forgotten that Clinton represents a major milestone for women.
Well, Brent, we have to keep in mind this is what the media reports. It's true, we or they really focused on the so-called email scandal, most definitely on Donald Trump. But when you talk to the delegates, when you talk to the Democratic women, you might get a different view. So that's what we did, and this is the report.
She would be the first female president to occupy the White House. That milestone is central to Hillary Clinton's campaign. But is it really valid to play the woman card in 2016? For Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, offspring of the political family powerhouse who has been active in the Democratic Party for decades, the time has come.
It will make a big difference in the United States because it will be the first time that we'll have a picture of a woman with power here in our country. And it will be tell young women that they too can be president of the United States, be head of a corporation, be head of the army, can do anything that they set their dreams to.
But will young women make their choice for president just about gender? For many, issues other than feminism are more important. Townsend says that could change.
They haven't had to deal with the struggle in the real world. Right now, in college, for instance, 60% of the people in college are women. So they think that it's easy to succeed. And as they go up the corporate ladder or the work ladder, many women have to make the decision. Is it more important to stay home with my child, or is it more important to do well at work?
April Spilker knows the political fight for equality all too well. She is one of the first 2 transsexual delegates from California. She says political leaders can have a huge influence on societal debates.
We finally have a champion for women's rights and women's issues in the White House. We've had men in the past who have been proponents of women's issues, but no champions. And we're the last major country on the planet to not have a woman in power, and I think it's time that we do so because we need to prove that we can.
For Delegate Diana Carpenter-Mendoshi, it is important that Hillary Clinton not only fights for gender equality, but also for the rights of children.
That women and children, when they're lifted up, the rest of the world is much better. And as most of us know, and most women know, even from churches, women carry a lot of the heavy weight. They never get the credit.
Hillary Clinton may have convinced these supporters she should be the first woman president. But it remains to be seen if Clinton is the candidate who can persuade the majority of Americans to vote to make history once again.
So you see, Brent, there are many reasons for women why it is important, or it would be important, to have a woman in the White House. But Kathleen Kennedy Townsend explained the biggest problem for Hillary Clinton so far. It's the young women voters who might not buy this woman card ticket and who might actually stay with Bernie Sanders, because for them it would have been more important to get him into the White House than actually the first female president.
That's a very interesting point there that you make, Ines, regarding what young female voters think. Irwin, you know, there was some hope that Clinton would choose Elizabeth Warren, the U.S. Senator we were talking about earlier, as her vice presidential running mate. Would an all-female ticket, would that have been a guaranteed loser in this race?
The way this race is going, it would have added to the uncertainty. You know, I don't think that would have been the sort of thing that would have handicapped the ticket in any way. I think it was really strategic things. This is the state of Massachusetts. You've got the state of Massachusetts anyway, so you're not gaining anything there. Elizabeth Warren is a power in the Senate. You want to keep control of that Senate. Yep. I think those were the things that were far more important in the choice than thinking about what difference a vice presidential appointment would make.
It's an interesting analysis. And we know Elizabeth Warren, she's not someone who, you know, sits back and doesn't speak her mind. And I mean, last night, she said exactly what she thought about Donald Trump. Let's take a listen to that.
On one side is a man who inherited a fortune from his father and kept it going by cheating people, by skipping out on debts. A man who has never sacrificed anything for anyone. A man who cares only for himself every minute of every day.
Ines, was it the right strategy for Elizabeth Warren to lash out at Trump on the first night of the Democratic convention?
You know, it's actually not the first time that she really lashes out, and I think the Hillary Clinton supporters really picked their roles, and she obviously is the attack dog. We experienced in Cleveland at the Republican convention that it really helps to have a clear enemy to unify a party which is as divided as the Democrats are still.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned that point about the party being divided. Bernie Sanders, of course, is considered the person who could make or break the entire proposition for Hillary Clinton. Let's listen to what he had to say last night and his call for support of Clinton.
We need leadership which brings our people together and makes us stronger, not leadership which insults Latinos and Mexicans, insults Muslims and women, African Americans and veterans, and seeks to divide us up. Hillary Clinton must become the next president of the United States.
I mean, very clear words there. And Irwin, he still got booed by some of his supporters. I mean, he even told them before he went on stage, you know, sources close to his campaign said that he even told his supporters that they had to get real about the real world of politics. Will they?
Well, one thing we can count on, the supporters of those who really felt the burn were there as delegates.
Yeah.
People who voted for Bernie Sanders are not as intense as the people who are there in Philadelphia right now. So the problem that Hillary Clinton's going to have, unless Bernie Sanders continues that kind of campaigning on Clinton's behalf, there'll just be the lack of passion, the lack of enthusiasm.
And maybe they won't vote.
And maybe they won't vote, or they might not bring their friends and relatives along to vote. They'll just be quiet, sitting at home, and they'll go up, hold their noses, they'll vote, but you need that passion, the multipliers out there in the polity.
Let me throw it to Ines. Ines, what have you observed, especially now that you were there at the convention? Are Sanders supporters, are they ready to vote for Hillary Clinton?
Well, Irwin is totally right. It's different groups. You know, you really have to understand that the Democrats are more a platform than a party, really. Many, many different people join this party because they have single issues, single interests. And we talk to a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters. Many of them are still not really on the ticket for Hillary Clinton. But as this whole show goes on here, as the convention goes on, with the support from people like Michelle Obama, I think this spirit, this energy might jump over, and by the end of the day or by the end of this week, many, many former Bernie Sanders supporter will join the Hillary Clinton campaign.
All right. It's good, too, that you mentioned Michelle Obama. Let's just take a quick listen to what she said last night. She did steal the show.
We try to guide and protect our girls through the challenges of this unusual life in the spotlight. How we urge them to ignore those who question their father's citizenship or faith. How we insist that the hateful language they hear from public figures on TV does not represent the true spirit of this country. How we explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
All right, everyone been talking about that today. When they go low, we go high. Ines, Pohl, at the convention for us, thank you very much. Irwin Collier here at the big table as always. Irwin, thank you for coming in and sharing your insights. We want to stay with Michelle Obama for just a moment. Her name trended worldwide on Twitter after her address last night, with some hailing it as one of the greatest convention speeches in memory. This California resident said, we're going to show that to you in just a second. Are we or are we not? There we go. Thank you. In tears, listening to Michelle Obama's speech, anyone wanting a better world for their children should think about this language, the language that's used in this race. Of course, some couldn't resist a dig at Melania Trump. This Ted Cruz parody account tweeted, Michelle Obama's speech was good tonight, but I liked her speech last week better. A reference, of course, to last week's plagiarism scandal. Sanders' ringing endorsement of Clinton in his speech didn't sit well with his conservative viewer. He says that he respected Bernie, but he adds he just got back in line and backed everything he tried so hard to stand against. Sad. All right, we are almost through with the day, but don't forget the conversation continues. You can write to me. There you go, at Brent Goff TV. Use that hashtag the day. And remember, whatever happens between now and then, tomorrow is another day. We'll see you then, everybody.